Hi, I'm Geoff Kirbyson from the Winnipeg Free Press. Hillary Rodham Clinton has just wrapped up her speech here at the Winnipeg Convention Centre, and I'm joined by Mary Agnes Welch, who is the Free Press's public policy reporter. Mary Agnes, so the woman who would be president touched on a wide variety of international topics, but of course maybe the most important one was the first question asked of her by the moderator, and that was, what's it like being a grandma?
Yeah, then she went on to talk about a million other brilliant things, and there were many great questions after that. But to begin with, what's it like being a granny when she is, I think, arguably the most accomplished woman in the world, is, kind of rubbed a few women wrong. I think it kind of got my hackles up a little bit, and Twitter, kind of made a big deal of it. Of all the things you could ask her, and I know that the CIBC president has interviewed her many times. I think it's probably the third time he's done it in less than a year, so, they probably have a rapport. But, she's extremely likely to be the next president of the United States, and you're going to start with granny questions?
And she did, of course, touch on something that might impact Manitoba, that's the Keystone Pipeline.
Yes, and that was one of several things that she talked about with Manitoba, but she wouldn't comment on the Keystone Pipeline. She hasn't done it before in past speeches. She said, there's a process in the United States, I respect that. You're not going to get me, you're not going to pull me into making a comment. And she sort of said that before. But she also gave at least 2 shout-outs to Manitoba Hydro's plan to build a pipeline to Minnesota, and how we need to do more of this sort of cross-border energy, energy cooperation. So I was wondering if, I didn't see the Premier here, but Brian Pallister was here. And since hydro is such a huge political issue, I wondered if the Premier was sitting here going, yay, endorsement from, Hillary Clinton on power lines.
And, of course, she touched on a lot of international issues with Vladimir Putin and Iran. Anything there that caught your attention?
No, in fact, that's her absolute area of expertise, but I thought a lot of the stuff that she talked about was, fairly formulaic. It's stuff we've heard her say many times before. It was stuff about how we combat extremism. It was discussions about, especially about discussions about how Western democracies like Canada and the U.S. have to really protect and have faith in their own democracies, and that's the best example we can offer the rest of the world. I thought that was an interesting point. She talked about Ukraine, she talked about Putin, she did talk about the attacks on Paris, but also on Ottawa last fall, and how fearful and worried folks in the United States were about that.
And there were a couple jokes going on beforehand about maybe today she might announce her intention to seek the presidency. And there were a couple hints about the topic, but she had a pretty, expected response.
Yeah, actually one of the best moments of the event was when the CIBC boss sort of made a reference to, well, your time as Secretary of State would be great practice for being president. And she sort of gave him the nuh-uh, and then everybody had to laugh at that. So she wouldn't even go there. Nobody really expected her to, but she's widely expected to run and announce later this year.
Okay, so that'll wrap it up here from the Convention Center. The Free Press will have cover-to-cover coverage of the Clinton visit tomorrow with a story from Mary Agnes. Lots of pictures, we'll have some video, and a column by Dan Lett.